Welcome back, everybody. Welcome aboard, I should say. I'm the one that's been away. Dr. Glidden here, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, your steadfast advocate for health. Encouraging you to give the show a call today, 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933, the live call-in number. And if you're listening to the podcast, 855-347-3696. So I'd like to start off by positing a question, ladies and gentlemen. For whom does the bell toll? For whom does the bell toll? I'll tell you who it tolls for. I'll tell you right now who it tolls for. Active duty military suicides. Almost once an hour, that's every 65 minutes to be precise, a military veteran commits suicide. This from a new investigation by the Department of Veterans Affairs, by far the most extensive study of veteran suicides ever conducted. It examined datum from, that's one of my pet peeves, data is singular, datum. Data is plural, datum is singular, so I guess they got it right. It examines data from 1999 to 2010. 1999 to 2010, for goodness sake. Most of the suicides, one every 65 minutes, involve older veterans, 69%. Were recorded to be veterans of age 50 and over. But another way to look at this is that 31% of active duty suicides were by veterans 49 and younger. In other words, by men in the prime of their life. And then there are the shockingly common active duty suicides. Those were the veterans. These are active duty suicides. 2 weeks ago, the military released data showing that suicides among those on active duty hit a record high in 2012. 349 suicides among active duty personnel, almost one a day. So one a day, active duty military personnel are committing suicide, and amongst veterans, one every 65 minutes. One every 65 minutes. This is the tip of the iceberg, by the way, because when we look at depression in veterans, it's the same thing, but more. Depression, one of the most common and expensive mental disorders, costing the U.S. about $66 billion a year. Now listen, it costs the U.S. $66 billion a year. Now who's getting that money? What, does the money go into a black hole? Do we shoot the money into the sun? Do we put the money in an incinerator and burn it? No, your money is going to the medical profession. The medical profession is making $66 billion a year. $66 billion a year treating depression, because, of course, they don't fix depression, they manage depression. Veterans diagnosed with depression are 14% of the total from 2000 to 2007. The medical records of more than 206,000 veterans entering the VA healthcare system were assessed. Findings revealed that one in three was diagnosed with at least one mental health disorder. Some had more than one. 41% were diagnosed with either a mental health or a behavioral adjustment disorder. And, you know, in the way that psychiatrists diagnose things, they'll nitpick things. Oh, it's a mental disorder. Oh, it's a behavioral problem. Oh, it's an adjustment. Oh, it's this, that, or the other thing. All these different shades of gray. It all boils down to the same thing. Everybody is sick. Everybody is dying. And if you're a veteran, it's worse. My colleague, Dr. Wallach, a veteran of the Air Force, always said, still says, there are two ways you can give your life for your country, on the battlefield and at the VA. And I couldn't agree more. For goodness sake, you've got to be kidding me. Now, one veteran every 65 minutes commits suicide. That's just unacceptable, for goodness sake. And who is to blame? When we read statistics like this, what is the first thing that we think about? Well, we think about not who is to blame. We think about we need to raise more money to do more research to come up with a cure for depression and come up with a cure for all of these mental disorders that are affecting the vets, right? That's how you think. But what you should be thinking is, who screwed up? Who dropped the ball? For goodness sake, if there's an outbreak of bacteria on lettuce, you think, well, who dropped that ball? It's the Food and Drug Administration. They're the ones who we hold responsible for that. If airplanes start dropping out of the sky mysteriously, who do we hold responsible for that? The Federal Aviation Administration, right? There are departments of the government that are supposed to be taking care of this. There are departments in your town that are supposed to be taking care of your drinking water and your sewage removal, or in your streets. If there's a problem with your drinking water, your sewage removal, or your streets, you go right to the source and you hold their feet to the fire and you place blame where blame is due. But when people get sick, when people die, when chronic diseases like mental disorders, depression, and suicidal ideation increase, we look to no one to place the blame because we've had it drilled in our heads that medicine is some complicated, sophisticated thing that nobody can figure out, and that the only people who are worthy to even try to go into that territory have MD after their name, and we have been hoodwinked. Somebody's got to be to blame. Somebody has to be held responsible for this, right? I mean, somebody has to be held responsible. But when it comes to all things relative to health, we give everybody in the medical community a pass. The reason that there are so many suicides, the reason that there is so much depression, the reason that there is so much post-traumatic stress disorder amongst active duty and retired military is because of one reason and one reason only: the MDs stink at what they do. It's the doctor's fault, right? I mean, it's the doctors that are in charge of our health. Isn't that what we pay medical insurance premiums for? To have better health outcomes? Isn't that why? I mean, aren't we, when we buy insurance, aren't we betting that we're going to get so sick that we're not going to be able to afford it, and we want to put all this money towards the medical profession that can help us, to give us access to the system of medicine that can help us? That's why we buy medical insurance. That's what it's supposed to do. But all that medical insurance does is give us access to MD-directed medicine, and while the MDs have been driving the bus of medicine, suicide amongst veterans is unbelievably high. Unbelievable. One every 65 minutes. And one a day in active duty. And you've got to be kidding me. And again, we give the MDs a pass. Oh, it's this complicated thing. Well, no, it's not a complicated thing, because meanwhile, let's talk about one nutritional thing. One, there are 60 minerals that the human body needs. 60 minerals. 90 essential nutrients, 60 of which are minerals. Let's just talk about one essential nutrient: lithium. Lithium. Researchers from the Medical University of Vienna compared the suicide rates in different regions of Austria with the natural lithium concentrations in the drinking water. Remember, lithium is a trace mineral like calcium and iron and zinc. It's found in the rocks and soil, and sometimes it washes into the water table out of the rocks and soil. The study, published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, analyzed the sample of 6,460 lithium measurements and then compared suicide rates across 99 districts, and there was a statistically significantly lower suicide rate in the districts where lithium was high in the water table. And this, by the way, confirms research from 2009 that's found the same thing. Inverse relationship between lithium levels and suicide in Japan. Right? And lithium, of course, is one essential nutrient. There are 89 others. Dr. Wallach talked about this in his book, Rare Earths, Forbidden Cures. There was two towns, I believe, somewhere in the Midwest, I think it was Indiana, and there were significantly higher rates of crime in one town compared to the next, and they were only a couple of, 5, 6, 7, 10 miles apart. There wasn't that much difference in the demographics of the two towns. Well, why did one town have almost 10 times the rate of crime that the other town did? Well, as it turns out, in the town where there were high crime rates, there was very little lithium in the water, and in the town where there were low crime rates, there were high levels of lithium in the water. What does this mean? This means that nutrition is everything. Nutrition has a direct, not an indirect, not a secondary or a tertiary effect, but a direct causative effect on your health. Now you know everything's connected. Your medical doctor would have you believe that consciousness, your consciousness is a function purely of biochemistry, but it's not. Your consciousness, the way that you think, the way that you feel, is affected by your biochemistry. And if your biochemistry is off, you're not going to feel right. If your blood sugar levels are too high, you feel depressed. If your mineral reserves are too low, you feel depressed. If your mineral reserves are really low, you get aggressive. If your mineral reserves are even lower, you start wanting to kill yourself. It's not genetic. It's got nothing to do with a bad gene or the aging process or the luck of the draw or cosmic rays. It's got everything to do with simple, fundamental, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition, which the MDs have no training, no respect, and no appreciation for. Oh, by the way, where have the last 2 wars that we've been involved with happened? Have they happened in Antarctica? Have they happened in Siberia? No. They've happened in the Mideast, where it's 279 million degrees in winter, for goodness sake. Our members of our armed forces have been sweating out bullets for the last 10 years in the medical theater of Iraq and Afghanistan because it's so unbelievably hot. And guess what happens when you perspire? You perspire out your vitamins and your minerals. So when you're working in a high, extremely high heat environment and you're sweating 100 times more than you did when you were in the U.S., you burn right through your nutrient reserves, and this is why they're committing suicide. Because the locale that they've been working in is draining their mineral reserves. It's as plain as the nose on my face, but your MD misses it, and your loved ones are dying because of their incompetence. One more reason to fire your MD now. The average temperature in Iraq during the summer months is 80 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit at night. 80 to 105 at night. 110 to 145, this is Fahrenheit, by the way. 110 to 145 Fahrenheit during the day. Now, are soldiers running around in shorts and short sleeves and golf hats? No. They're in flak jackets, field jackets, 50-pound packs on their back. They're sweating bullets. They've been over there for years and years and years. And they're sweating and they're sweating and they're sweating. And is the military giving them vitamins? Is the military giving them minerals? Is the military giving them anything nutritionally supplement-wise? No, they're giving them vaccines. They're giving them drugs. They're giving them, antidepressants and then really bad army food, really bad military food. For goodness sake, this is as plain as the nose on your face. But again, because we have been hoodwinked by 100 years of pharmaceutical monopolization of the medical market, we give them a pass. Oh, there goes another minute. Somebody else just killed himself. Another veteran just killed himself. You got to be giving. It's unbelievable what we put up with here. This is a failure of gargantuan proportions, and what do? Is there a congressional hearing into the medical monopoly that exists in the United States? Are there hearings about why the naturopaths aren't fully licensed, why medical nutrition isn't more researched? No. Why? Because everybody's in bed together, and it's a gigantic money-making operation. $55 billion a year is spent on mental health care. That's $55 billion a year that the medical industry profits from delivering ineffective and horrible treatments. And what do? We give them a pass. We say, oh no, don't see the naturopaths, don't go to those naturopaths, don't let the naturopaths be licensed. Let's not accredit another naturopathic medical school. Oh no. Medicine is the exclusive domain of the MDs. Well, guess what? Fire your medical doctor. Fire your medical doctor now because they stink at what they do. And this unbelievably high suicide rate amongst the veterans is proof positive that they have dropped the ball. Write to your senator, write to your congressman, write to somebody. Tell them our men and women in uniform need nutritional supplementation. For goodness sake, if everybody in uniform took one healthy start pack and one extra bottle of plant-derived minerals, we wouldn't have a problem. There would be no problem, because when you're mineralized, your body can handle it. Well, and then, so what happens is, right, your body needs to be filled to the brim every day with 90 essential nutrients, 60 of which are minerals, but you're not filled to the brim every day. You're filled less than halfway, and then the stress of life comes rolling in. Now, do you think people in the military have more or less stress than you or I? Is it more stressful to have people shooting at you, to be avoiding bombs, buried bombs on the roadside? Is that more stressful or less stressful than your life? I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you know what? It's going to be more stressful. So their bodies are nutritionally starved, they're in extremely high-stress environments, and they're sweating out what little nutrients they have every day. For goodness sake, I'm surprised they're still alive. Well, I guess they're not, because they're committing suicide at alarming rates. And we let it go. And we let it go. And we let it go. And, oh, the Surgeon General, isn't he great? Aren't they really doing a good job? That's what we need. We need to give the drug companies more research money. That's what we need. We need to do more research to figure out what's causing this and get to the root of it. No, we don't. We need to fire the medical doctors. We need to abandon that therapeutic because it doesn't work. They stopped bleeding people to death. They stopped applying mercury plasters, right? They stopped having people inhale mercury vapors, which were all the ideas of the MDs. They were the most progressive treatments of the time, and they killed people. It's still happening now, ladies and gentlemen. Just look to the veterans for proof. For goodness sake, an old error is always more popular than a new truth. An old error is always more popular than a new truth. And our men and women in uniform are dropping like flies. Why? Because they bet on the wrong horse. They trusted that their medical doctor knew what's best for them. And when it turns out that their medical doctor did not know what's best for them, nobody held the medical profession's feet to the fire, and off we go to one more funeral. Ladies and gentlemen, enough is enough. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Please visit the website fireyourmdnow.com. Also, drglidden.com. Also, just do a Google search for Dr. Peter Glidden. I always pop up number one, and then click on the link, and you're right there. Click on the Join Longevity tab. Click on the Online Health Recovery Subscription tab. Join our army of our grassroots coalition of the informed, of men and women and boys and girls who want to make a difference in their life, who've had enough of this nonsense. For goodness sake. How much is it going to take? One veteran dying, every minute? Is that enough for you? What's it going to take? We're up against it. Up against a rock and a hard place here, between a rock and a hard place, and we have the way out. At the top of the next hour, I'm going to tell you what I recommend to support and promote your health in the face of depression or suicidal ideation, and to a lesser extent, mental illness. That's coming up at the top of the next hour. We're going to go right to the phones now. Phone lines are ringing off the hook today. I must have struck a nerve. Todd from California is calling up with a question about muscular dystrophy. Hey, Todd, thanks for waiting. You are live. Todd.
My name is Todd Harrison. I'm 24 years old, and I have Becker muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
And I have a story to tell, if that's okay. And it's about nutrition and how today's modern medicine does not actually cure muscular dystrophy.
All right, I'm all ears, man. Give it a go.
All right, here we go. So, my family has dealt with 3 generations of muscular dystrophy, and I'm determined to stop it from being a 4th generation. We have seen no progress for the last 50 years in modern medicine regarding muscular dystrophy. The only thing that modern medicine has recommended to me is steroids. Out of all of my clinical visits, I have never heard a doctor or specialist mention to me that nutrition could help muscular dystrophy. Okay, and then in 2010, I came across a treatment on YouTube for muscular dystrophy that involved electrical stimulation of the nerves that helped with oxidative stress. Now, I hopped on the treatment, and before this treatment, my walking ability, I was only able to walk around for like 15 minutes. 2 days on this treatment, I was up walking around for over an hour, okay? Now, I have before and after videos, before and after results on this video. I took this treatment to a clinic that has ties to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Now, I showed the doctor, and the look on his face was priceless. I mean, this doctor looked stunned because he saw real results, and he actually asked for a copy of these videos, okay? Now, a few months later, I go back to the clinic, and the doctor is sitting there trying to tell me I didn't improve despite video footage. Now, I'd have to believe some type of upper management had told him to tell me that I didn't improve. Now, that treatment, without a doubt, helped me, okay? Now, then earlier this year, I discovered Dr. Wallach on YouTube. His information led me to the source of selenium that cured MD, muscular dystrophy, or white muscle disease in animals. Each source of information that I followed led to a path to a trial that was done in 1983 with myotonic muscular dystrophy using high doses of selenium and vitamin E. This was the first report of successful treatment for muscular dystrophy. Okay. Then in 1986, the same people did another study using 5 myotonic dystrophy patients, and all 5 normalized their walking gait, normalized their grip strength, and gained ability to raise from the floor without using their arms. Okay, now even more interestingly, another study done in 1986 claimed that selenium did not show improvement, but they only used low doses of the selenium for the first year, and then they took them off it for another year and included it as part of the treatment. Right. Now, why do you think there was no improvement? Because of the low doses.
Yeah, the study was ginned up or on purpose with low doses of selenium in order to discount this, because, Todd, you've hit the nail right on the head here, brother. You've hit the nail right on the head, and this is such a big nail that nobody wants to believe that it's here, but medicine in the United States is not results-oriented, it's profits-oriented. And the last thing the Muscular Dystrophy Association of America wants to do is find a cure for muscular dystrophy. Have you noticed that Jerry Lewis is no longer the spokesman for the Muscular Dystrophy Telethon? Have you noticed that? Do you know why that happened? Have we told you that story?
I know that story, but I also have something to add. In 1988, they did another study on selenium. Okay, these people said it showed no benefit. But guess what? In 1992, those same people did a study on prednisone and said, yeah, get on steroids. Let's get help our muscles. Steroids is the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is one gigantic, unbelievable money-making scheme. And it is so big that people can't conceptualize that it's actually happening. And, people are good. Human beings are honest and true by their nature. And it is hard for people to accept the fact that there are people in the society who are not like them, people who are not honest, people who do not have integrity, people who could care less about honesty or integrity, and people whose only motivating factor is fear and money, and it is those people who are in charge of our health care. Quite frankly, it's not health care anymore, is it, Todd? It's disease management for profit. It's disease management for sale. It's the hardest thing for people to wrap their heads around, that the people in charge of medicine, especially in the United States, are money-grubbing, evil, cowardly people who have no concern whatsoever for the common good. The only thing they want to do is forward the false notion of the pharmaceutical medical model, and it's killing us. Literally, it is killing us. And even when big things like this happen, like we take our information to Jerry Lewis, and he takes it to the board, and then the board fires him and fires everybody else who worked for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, because now that well has been polluted with the truth, so they get rid of all of them. What happens? Nobody bats an eyelash. Is it front page news? No. Does 60 Minutes do a special about it? No. Is there any uproar about this in social circles? No. It's all passes like a summer storm, and then we go right back to the old way of doing things. Now, Todd, this phenomenon that you have just outlined so succinctly is exactly the reason why Dr. Wallach, in his wisdom, set Youngevity up as a network business. Because the scientific community, because the scientific method is no longer available to us because of Big Pharma's money and Big Pharma's influence and their relationship with media in the United States. It is impossible for us, impossible, not difficult or improbable or hard, it is impossible for us to get our message of health recovery through medical nutrition in real time through normal medical channels. We can't do it. And you just gave us two perfect examples of that. They've polluted the well over and over and over again. So rather than trying to fight the pharmaceutical industry, rather than trying to get more research published, to show more people the light, to convince more medical doctors that there is a different way, we're just going to do an end around the whole damn thing. So Wallach set Youngevity up as a network business. One of the reasons why is to build a grassroots coalition of the informed, people just like you, who see the truth of medical nutrition, experience the truth of practically applied alternative therapeutics, alternative to drugs and surgery therapeutics, not alternative to you, not alternative to me, alternative to the mainstream, and then who take up the cause and spread our message of health recovery through medical nutrition to as many people as will want to listen. And look, man, not even God could save everybody, right? What did he have to do? Send a flood and wipe out the planet. Not even he could save everybody. So this is our thing. We climb to the top of the hill, we climb to the top of the town square, we climb to the top of YouTube, we climb to the top of the internet, and we wave a big flag. Look over here, we can help. We can help. We have another way of doing it. And the people that want to listen to us will live, and the people that don't want to listen to us will die. And for goodness sake, I guess that's just life. My heart goes out to you, Todd. You know, isn't it crazy, Todd, that you had to figure all this stuff out on your own? I mean, isn't that insane? That when it came to a chronic debilitating illness like muscular dystrophy, conventional medicine had nothing for you, and at 24 years of age, you had to find time in your life to research it all on your own and figure it out all on your own? I mean, what the heck does that say for the way that medicine is practiced here in the United States? We've got 3 minutes left in this segment, Todd. I'm going to shut up and hand it over to you.
All right. I'll tell you right now, the past 5 days, I've cut out soda. I've cut out all man-made food. I've juiced for the past 4 days. I've taken tangy tangerine. I've been taking vitamin E and extra selenium. How do you think I feel just in those 4 days? I feel the best I have ever. Like, I have muscle coming back already. And, you know, back in the day, ancient Chinese doctors were not paid until they cured their patients. In today's world, why do we have to do a copay? Like, why do we have to spend money to cure ourselves? Why don't they cure us first, and then we'll give them the money?
Well, I'd sign that bill. I'd sign that bill into Congress right now. But, you know, that's never going to pass because I'm with you in theory here, Todd, 100%. I mean, for goodness sake, you know, what you're telling me now live on the radio today, and by the way, we don't screen the calls, ladies and gentlemen. I've never met Todd. I don't know what Todd's story is. We didn't screen him. I had no idea what he was going to say. Had no idea that he had any relationship with Dr. Wallach or any of the Youngevity products whatsoever. I'm as much in the blue as you are, and here it is. I've been hearing stories like this, Todd, for over 30 years. You sit behind my desk for a week, you'll be in tears, seeing the amount of storm and stress that the medical community exerts on unsuspecting good human beings. It's unbelievable what we put up with. And so I would challenge you, Todd, to channel your frustration and channel your anger and channel your energy into building a longevity business and spreading our message of health recovery through medical nutrition to as many people as you possibly can. This is how we're going to make a big noise. This is how we're going to do it, by spreading the message, Dr. Wallach's message of health recovery through science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition through a grassroots coalition of the informed. And for goodness sake, if I was king of the world, I would elect you general right now, because you've been through the thick of it and you've seen firsthand what it's all about. Todd, here's what I want you to do, man. I want you to call me every 2 weeks on the radio show, more or less, twice a month, with updates. Twice a month with updates, live right here on the radio show. If you can handle it, give me a call twice a month with updates, and we're going to mark right here live on the radio your improvement with muscular dystrophy with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Are you in? Does that sound like a good plan, Todd?
Yes, and can I say something real quick?
All right, we got 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm actually making a documentary called Get Cured or Die Trying to show that I can cure myself through nutrition. And I also have a Facebook page called Defying Muscular Dystrophy. You can also follow the story on there.
Defying Muscular Dystrophy, Get Cured or Die Trying. I love it, Todd. You're my new best friend. Thanks for calling. Glidden, you're too rough on the MDs. Dr. Glidden, you got to back off. Why don't you get around the campfire with the MDs and sing Kumbaya? Dr. Glidden, you know, you've got it out for the MDs. Why don't you just back off? I'll tell you why I don't back off, because of people like Todd. You walk around in Todd's body for 1 month before longevity, and you walk around in Todd's body for 1 month after longevity. You walk around in Todd's body for 24 years while you've listened to nonsense from MDs, and then you walk around in Todd's body for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days after he starts science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. He's already feeling results, and if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. For goodness sake. There's a time to get angry, ladies and gentlemen. Regretfully here on Fire Your MD, it's every day. Why is it every day? Because every day people are dying needlessly. And I mean needlessly. But before they die, they suffer. Quite frankly, I'm here to put an end to all that. It's time to snap out of it and collectively wake up. All right, so looks like we're going to Michigan next. Pam's got a phone call with a question about leaky gut. Hey, Pam, thanks for the call.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Thanks for taking my call.
All right.
I talked to you about a month ago, and I've been on the healthy digestion and blood sugar packs, and I just recently started the Killer Biotic. I had stopped taking Prilosec that I was on for 15 years, and now I think I have, like, leaky gut and yeast. I broke out with a rash under my armpits. And
okay.
So I've been wondering what kind of foods I can eat that don't have sugar in them, that are not going to feed the yeast in my gut.
All right. Well, first things first. Have you experienced anything beneficial since you followed my advice?
I lost 20 pounds in a month.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
That's great, yeah.
I mean, was weight loss the thing that you were attempting, or did it just kind of spontaneously happen?
Well, I've been attempting weight loss for about 20 years.
All right. So were you counting calories or anything like that, or did you just eliminate the 10 bad foods and start the supplements?
That's exactly what I did. I eliminated the 10 bad foods.
Yeah, well, you're going to love it. All right, see, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. You give the body a break, and the body starts fixing itself. I mean, you gotta just love it. All right, so now, what makes you think that there's a problem with yeast? You may have a problem with yeast, you may not, but what makes you think that you do?
I do. I took a test.
Well, tell me about the test. Was it a stool test?
No, vaginal.
All right, so did a vaginal swab and looked at it under the microscope, and there's yeast, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been on an antibiotic lately?
Colloidal silver.
But not an antibiotic, a prescription antibiotic, right?
No.
Okay. When do you think the last time you had a prescription antibiotic was?
Oh, 4 years maybe.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, you know, yeast, it's curious that yeast should just pop up out of nowhere. So here's what you want to do. You want to get a black light from the hardware store. Go to the hardware store, get a black light bulb. Screw it into a lamp socket, a little portable lamp. Take it into a dark room like a closet or the bathroom and turn off all the other lights and block the windows. And then turn the black light on and shine the black light on the part of your armpit that has the rash in it. And if under the black light the rash pops up looking snow white, it'll look just like snow, bright white, that's a yeast. That's a fungal infection under the armpit. If it doesn't pop up white under the black light, then it's not yeast. It's some other type of rash. And, you know, there's a million things that can cause rashes on the skin, right? So, in order to support and promote the health of the digestive tract in the face of a definitive diagnosis of yeast, well, if it's vaginal yeast, I would get a tampon and I would soak it with the colloidal silver, and I would change it every 3 hours while you're awake, and I'd leave one in all night. I'd just soak it with colloidal silver, and in a couple of days, that should go a long way towards helping the vaginal terrain to be normalized and support and promote your body's ability to get on the other side of the yeast. In addition to the killer biotic, you also want to do a probiotic, either the root beer belly or the Ultimate Flora FX. I would do 2 packages of root beer belly a day or 4 Ultimate Flora FX immediately before bed. And at the top of the next hour, I'm going to tell you some foods. I'll dial in the sugar-free food thing for you. You don't have to hang around for the whole time. You can listen to it off air. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We'll be back.